Have you ever had a moment where someone you completely trusted, someone you went entirely out of your way to support, just took your kindness completely for granted?
Oh, yeah. That is, that's a tough one.
It really is. I mean, it is rarely just this fleeting sense of disappointment. It's the kind of deep, stinging betrayal that makes you pause. It kind of fundamentally changes how you interact with the world around you.
Absolutely. You start looking at everyone sideways after that.
Right. You start wondering if the next person you trust is just waiting to do the exact same thing to you.
Yeah, that sudden shattering of your internal compass is, well, it's a universally disorienting experience. You're left standing there looking at the pieces of this relationship, just wondering how you're ever supposed to trust your own judgment of character again.
Totally.
And the immediate, almost biological instinct is to look outward,
Hmm.
right? We try to figure out how to spot the next betrayer or how to set these rigid, impenetrable boundaries.
Or how to confront the person who hurt us. Like, we want to extract some form of justice.
Exactly. We want them to pay.
And that outward focus is exactly what we are challenging today. We are doing a deep dive into a deeply fascinating document. It's simply titled 19E.docs, and it completely flips that script.
It really does.
Yeah.
Reading through this text, it feels like stumbling onto a modern Stoic manifesto.
Yeah, because it does not care about changing the other person, like, at all.
Right. It doesn't offer tips on conflict resolution or, how to get the apology you feel you deserve.
No, instead it offers this highly specific, almost clinical roadmap for internal mastery. Our mission today is to figure out how to survive betrayal, how to redefine love entirely, and how to neutralize your own anger.
All without losing your core identity in the process, which is the trick, really.
It's a huge trick. So let's just jump right in. The text starts with a brutal, but I guess a necessary truth about betrayal.
Yeah, it points out that not everyone who enters our journey will stay with honesty and sincerity. This is a tough pill to swallow.
It is. But instead of focusing on the inherent injustice of that fact, the document asserts something wild. It says that betrayal actually reveals a truth about the betrayer, not the betrayed.
That's the crux of it. The argument is that when someone deceives you, seeking revenge or, holding on to resentment, actively destroys your own peace.
Right.
While the deceiver is the one who actually loses out in the grand scheme of things.
Okay. Conceptually, letting go of resentment sounds super enlightened. But executing it, that is where we hit a massive psychological wall. Let's think about this practically.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine betrayal is like having a terrible tenant move into a rental property you own. You trust them, you hand over the keys, and they completely trash the place.
Oh, a nightmare scenario.
Right. They ruin the hardwood floors, they punch holes in the drywall, and then they just skip town in the middle of the night. Our natural, deeply ingrained human instinct is to chase them down.
We want to force them to pay the repair bill. We want restitution.
Exactly. But this text is arguing, no, let them walk away. Their deception is their own punishment. I mean, how do we actually override that burning, very human need to balance the scales?
Well, we have to look at the mechanism of what resentment actually does to our own mental real estate.
Yeah.
Think about your analogy.
Okay.
When you spend your days tracking down that terrible tenant in your mind, replaying what they did and, what you want to say to them, you are voluntarily keeping the lights on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're keeping the heat running in a room they have already vacated. You're paying the daily emotional utility bill for someone who doesn't even live there anymore.
That is such a good way to put it. You're paying their bills.
Right. And the text specifically notes that a betrayer's actions reflect their character, not your worth. By demanding they fix what they broke, you're tethering your emotional state to their future actions.
You're giving them continued jurisdiction over your peace of mind.
Exactly.
You are basically leaving the front door wide open for them to keep trashing the place emotionally long after they are physically gone.
Spot on. And we also have to examine what the source points out about the deceiver side of the equation. Like, what do they actually lose?
Right, because it feels like they just get away with it.
It does feel that way.
Yeah.
But it isn't just some abstract concept of karma. The text states they forfeit trust, respect, meaningful relationships, and most crucially, inner peace.
Inner peace.
Yeah. Think about the psychology of someone who operates through deception. They have to live in a constant state of hypervigilance. They have to remember all their lies.
Oh, this sounds exhausting.
It is. They have to manage the different masks they wear for different people, and they are constantly projecting their own untrustworthiness onto everyone else around them.
Wow, yeah. They're basically building their own psychological prison. They can never truly be known or loved because they are never truly authentic.
Precisely. It's an incredibly isolating way to live.
Hmm.
So by framing the betrayer's loss of their own inner peace as the ultimate inescapable consequence, the text essentially gives you permission to lay down your weapons.
You don't have to be their executioner.
Right. The betrayal itself is the punishment. Relinquishing that role of punisher frees you to focus entirely on the upside the text highlights for you.
Which is the opportunity to use the experience to grow wiser, stronger, and more compassionate.
Exactly.
But, okay, surviving that initial betrayal creates a secondary, highly complex problem.
The fallout.
Yeah, the fallout. Once you have had a tenant completely trash your emotional house, handing the keys over to anyone else feels like an unacceptable risk.
It really does. You become so guarded.
Right. We naturally want to protect ourselves, which often means we start keeping score in our remaining relationships. We want guaranteed returns on our emotional investments to make sure we aren't being taken advantage of again.
We want a sure thing.
Yeah. So how do we continue to love people without constantly setting ourselves up for more disappointment?
Well, the document addresses this fear by completely dismantling our fundamental definition of love.
Really? How so?
It states very clearly that genuine love is not about expecting constant appreciation, recognition, or rewards.
Okay, that's...
Wait, the exact phrasing is really good. It says, when love becomes a demand to receive something in return, it loses its purity.
Oh, man. That completely contradicts how modern society operates. I mean, we are conditioned to treat relationships, even the seemingly healthy ones, like a vending machine.
A vending machine. I love that. Tell me more.
Well, it's like, I walk up, I put in 3 kindness coins, maybe I listen to you vent about your terrible boss, I pick up you dry cleaning, and I make dinner.
Okay, 3 coins.
Right. And then I expect 3 appreciation snacks to drop into the tray. I expect a heartfelt thank you, maybe some physical affection, or for you to listen to my problems the next day.
Ah, I see.
We call it reciprocity, but it's really a covert contract. We're keeping a ledger.
That vending machine mentality is the exact mechanism that generates our disappointment.
Is it?
Yeah, think about it. When we make care and support a transaction, we are no longer giving freely. We are purchasing a specific outcome.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're buying a reaction.
And if that outcome does not arrive, the transaction has failed, and we feel cheated. The source posits that real love is the willingness to share support without that transactional string attached.
So the joy just has to come from the act of giving itself, even if recognition never materializes.
That's what the text argues, yes.
Okay, let me push back on the reality of living that way. Because if I am endlessly throwing coins into a broken machine, just constantly giving time, energy, and care, and expecting absolutely nothing to drop out in return...
You feel like you're being used.
Yeah. Aren't I just volunteering to be a doormat? I mean, there is a very fine line between unconditional love and enabling someone who is perfectly happy to just use you.
That's a totally fair point. And the text actually anticipates that exact vulnerability. It does not suggest martyrdom or staying in one-sided draining dynamics.
Okay, good. Because that sounds miserable.
Right. Later in the document, it introduces a crucial counterweight to this unconditional giving. It says, forgive without weakness.
Forgive without weakness. It implies a separation between the kindness you offer and the boundaries you maintain.
Exactly. Think about the locus of control in your vending machine analogy.
Yeah.
If you give primarily because you demand appreciation, the other person controls your emotional state.
True. They can withhold the appreciation and completely ruin my day.
But if you remove the transactional demand, you completely remove their leverage over you. You give kindness simply because it reflects your own internal character to be kind.
It is an expression of who I am, not a down payment on who I want them to be.
Yes. Beautifully said.
Which means if they consistently fail to appreciate it or reciprocate, I don't have to feel cheated or furious. I just collect that data about their character.
You're just observing.
Right.
Yeah.
I can still choose to walk away or adjust how much access they have to me, but I do it with my peace intact rather than feeling like I was robbed in a bad deal.
You retain your agency. The pain of the unreciprocated transaction is gone because there never was a transaction to begin with.
That is so powerful.
It is. You are acting in alignment with your own values, which means your kindness is never wasted. It becomes entirely self-fulfilling.
Dropping that transactional mindset is incredibly difficult, though, and failing to do so is exactly what triggers our next major defense mechanism.
Which is?
Anger. When the vending machine eats our coin, our immediate response isn't peaceful acceptance. We kick the glass, we get mad.
We certainly do. and the source provides a deeply analytical breakdown of that exact reaction.
What does it say about anger?
It argues that anger fundamentally has its roots in misunderstanding. Specifically, it sparks when we expect others to behave according to our desires, or, when we fail to see the broader perspective of why they are acting the way they are.
Okay, so it implies that anger is just the violent friction between our assumptions and reality.
Exactly.
It's like getting furious at a cat because it refuses to bark.
The cat barking?
Yeah. You can stand there, red in the face, yelling at this cat to bark, and the cat is just going to blink at you. It literally lacks the biological machinery to do what you are demanding. You are making yourself miserable over an impossible expectation.
That illustrates the text's core formula perfectly. The document lays out a clear sequential progression for dismantling this reaction.
Okay, lay it on me.
It says the moment wisdom replaces assumptions, anger begins to fade. Understanding creates patience, and patience creates peace.
Okay, I grasped the logic when we were talking about minor frustrations or, getting mad at a cat. But let's scale this up to actual human malice.
Okay, let's go there.
When someone does something genuinely destructive, cruel, or deeply selfish, writing it off as just, oh, my assumption was wrong, feels dismissive of the real harm they caused.
Sure, you can feel that way.
Like, we aren't just monks floating above the fray. Some anger feels entirely justified, almost necessary for our self-respect and self-preservation.
Well, we have to clarify what the text means by wisdom and patience in this context. It isn't asking you to justify their bad behavior or pretend it didn't hurt.
Okay.
And it definitely isn't asking you to strip away your self-respect. It is asking you to see the reality of their limitations. Holding on to anger requires you to narrow your focus entirely onto the injustice.
Which blinds you to everything else.
Exactly. It blinds you to the broader, often sadder perspective of who this person actually is.
So the wisdom is updating my mental model of their capacity.
Yes. Wisdom is recognizing that a person who acts with consistent malice or cruelty is operating from a place of profound internal deficit.
They're missing something.
Right. They might lack emotional maturity, they might be projecting their own unresolved trauma, or they simply might not have the capacity for empathy that you assumed they did.
They are the cat.
They are the cat. They literally do not know how to bark.
So expecting emotional intelligence from someone who does not possess it is my error, not theirs.
Exactly. Recognizing their limitation is the wisdom that replaces the assumption. It is not about whether they deserve your anger. It is about whether you deserve to live in a state of perpetual outrage.
Right. Why punish myself for their deficit?
When you understand why people fail you, not to excuse it, but to truly comprehend the psychological mechanics of their failure, that understanding generates patience.
But not patience to stick around and be abused.
No, absolutely not. Not patience to endure continued abuse, but patience with the reality of human brokenness.
That is a really critical distinction. It is the patience to accept the reality of the situation without needing it to be different so I can feel okay. My anger does not change their nature. It just burns down my own house.
Precisely. And all of these mechanisms we've discussed today, reframing betrayal as the betrayer's loss, abandoning the transactional model of love, neutralizing anger with a realistic understanding of human limitations, they all funnel into the document's central thesis.
Which is?
The overarching goal isn't just to feel a little bit better on a random Tuesday.
Right, it's bigger than that.
The ultimate goal is the preservation of the self. The text states that the greatest victory in life is not proving others wrong, but protecting your own character.
It reads like a list of absolute non-negotiables for emotional survival. It's like, do not allow betrayal to make you bitter. Do not allow love to make you dependent. And do not allow anger to make you lose yourself.
It's a powerful mandate.
The mandate is to keep your heart kind, your mind calm, and your self-respect intact. And it makes a really fascinating promise here.
What's that?
It says, if you hold this line, people who value honesty will naturally gravitate toward you, and those who don't will eventually filter themselves out of your life.
It operates as an autonomous internal filtration system. You don't have to actively chase the wrong people away.
They just leave.
Yeah. Your refusal to engage in their transactional toxicity or to match their anger makes your environment completely inhospitable to them. They thrive on conflict and reaction.
And when you remove that fuel, they look elsewhere.
Yeah.
It is like building an emotional stronghold, not a fortress with the drawbridge pulled up where you isolate yourself from the entire world.
Right, not a wall.
But a highly defended core where your identity remains untouched by the chaos outside. But, I mean, in practice, Balancing these directives feels like walking a psychological tightrope.
It definitely takes practice.
The text commands us, don't let love make you dependent, but simultaneously demands we keep our heart kind. How do you remain totally open and kind without inevitably becoming dependent on the people you are opening up to?
The document resolves this tension in its concluding bolded mandate. It provides a three-part framework that basically serves as the ultimate balancing act for human maturity.
Okay, let's hear it.
He says, love without selfishness, forgive without weakness, and respond with wisdom rather than anger.
Love without selfishness, forgive without weakness. The precision of that phrasing is striking. It leaves no room for extremes.
It really doesn't. It maps out the exact boundaries of a healthy character. If you lean too far into keeping your heart kind without the anchor of boundaries, you bleed into dependency and weakness.
You become the doormat we talked about earlier.
Exactly. But if you pull back too far to avoid dependency, you harden into bitterness, isolation, and selfishness. Wisdom is the fulcrum that keeps you perfectly balanced between the two.
It's brilliant.
The text is urging us to realize that the external validations we constantly chase, winning the argument, extracting the apology, forcing the world to acknowledge our righteousness, are hollow victories.
They really are.
The only achievement of actual lasting value is attaining a peaceful heart and a strong character.
So if you can walk through the fire of being fundamentally betrayed and emerge on the other side still willing to give freely but armed with the wisdom to never compromise your own peace, you have essentially cracked the code.
You've won the only game that actually matters.
That is just incredible. To trace the arc of what we have pulled from 19act.docs today, we have explored how to view betrayal not as a reflection of our own gullibility, but as the betrayer voluntarily surrendering their own peace.
A huge perspective shift.
Massive. We have examined the friction of dropping the vending machine approach to love, learning to find the reward in the act of giving itself to protect our own agency.
Right.
And we have unpacked how replacing our rigid assumptions with a clear-eyed understanding of human limitations starves our anger of the fuel it needs to survive. All of this serves the singular mission of protecting the ultimate prize, which is the integrity of your own character.
It is a remarkably airtight framework for moving through a pretty chaotic world.
Yeah.
But, there is a final thought worth considering before we go.
Okay, I love a final thought. What is it?
It's a natural extension of everything this source proposes. The text guarantees that if you achieve this state of perfect non-transactional peace, the wrong people will walk away and the right people will stay.
Which sounds like the ideal scenario.
On paper, yes. But consider this. If we completely master this level of internal peace, if we achieve a state of absolute zero expectations where nothing anyone does can fundamentally shake our foundation, do we run the risk of becoming too detached from the messy, passionate reality of human connection?
Oh, wow.
Right. If we are never dependent and we never expect anything from anyone, does that total invulnerability end up costing us the beauty of vulnerability? Is it possible to be so perfectly defended that we forget how to truly intertwine our lives with someone else's?
That is a profound question to leave hanging in the air. If you build the ultimate emotional stronghold, you still have to remember to lower the drawbridge sometimes, even if it means risking the peace you have worked so incredibly hard to cultivate.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these tools, test them in your own life, and the next time someone takes your kindness for granted, remember, you do not have to pay the utility bill for a tenant who's already moved out. Keep your own house in order and protect your peace. We'll catch you next time.